Metric prefixes. In electrical work, metric prefixes are used to replace times 10 to whatever power when expressing numbers. Expressing numbers using metric prefixes will be covered in this section. You will need to know how to go from a regular number to a number with a metric prefix, and you will also need to know how to go from a metric prefix number to a regular number. First, let's look at the metric prefixes again. So this is the same chart that I had in the other file from review number 1. I have the powers of 10, the name of the prefix, the symbol of the prefix, and I've added a new column which is the multiplier. So let's see how we're going to do this. So in this table I have added a column called the multiplier. You will use this number to replace the metric prefix when you are converting a number with a metric prefix to a regular number. So as an example, if I have 3 and the small m is milli, so 3 milli times 2.2, a k is kilo, this is going to be 3 milli multiplied by 2.2 kilo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the metric prefixes with the multipliers to perform the multiplication. So I had 3 milli, so it's going to be 3 times 0.001. Then I had 2.2 kilos, so that's going to be 2.2 times 1,000. So that equals 0.003 times 2200, which is equal to 6.6. Now let's use an example where we want to put a metric prefix in the answer. We don't need to put a metric prefix in the above answer as the number is just 6.6. Usually when you're going to be using a metric prefix in the answer, it'll be a very, very small number or a very, very large number. As the next example, let's take 10 and divide it by 3.3 k or kilo. Our first step is to replace the kilo with the multiplier and then perform the division. So I'm going to take 10 divided by 3.3 times 1,000 for the kilo, or 10 divided by 3,300, which equals 0.00303. So the answer is 0.00303. So this is a very small number, so I want to redo this number and use a metric prefix. So since the number 0.00303 is less than 1, you will use the metric prefixes that have multipliers less than 1, which are milli, micro, nano, or pico. So how will you know which one to pick? You will pick the one that matches in size. For example, in the number 0.00303, the first real number, which is this 3 right here, it appears 3 places after the decimal point. So if I look back up here in the chart, this multiplier here, milli, has a number 1 3 places after the decimal point. So I'm going to use the milli because it matches closest in size. So in order to express a regular number with a metric prefix, you will divide the number by the multiplier. So in the above examples, when I had the metric prefix and I wanted to get rid of the metric prefix, I multiplied by the multiplier. Now when I want to add the metric prefix back, I will divide by the multiplier. So I'm going to take the 0.00303 and divide it by the 0.001, which is the multiplier for milli, and that gives me 3.03. Now all I need to do is put the little m after the number, so the answer is 3.03 milli. Let's try another problem. This one I have 7.89 micro times 5 kilo, or 7.89 times the multiplier for micro times 5 times the multiplier for kilo, which is 1,000. So I end up at 0.0000789 times 5,000, which is 0.03945. Now to put in the metric prefix. Again, I'm going to use the milli, just because it's closest in size. So I'll take the number 0.03945 and divide it by the multiplier of milli, which is 0.001, to get 39.45, and then I just put the milli after it. If you use the micro, which you could, you take the same number, 0.03945, but this time divide it by the micro multiplier, and this will give me 39,450 micro. This is the same number, just expressed as a micro instead of a milli. So I could do either or, however I would pick this one here because the number is smaller looking. And finally, example 3. I have 10 milli divided by 8.8 micro, so I'm going to replace the metric prefix. So I take 10 times the multiplier of milli, divide that by 8.8 times the multiplier of micro, so I'm going to get 0.010 divided by 0.000088, which finally equals 1136.6. This number could be left as is, but you should use a metric prefix. The number is in the thousands. To the metric prefix that is in the thousands is kilo. That's the closest one. So the answer needs to be divided by the multiplier of the kilo. I will take the 1136.6 and divide it by the 1,000, which gives me 1.1366, and I just need to add the k. So the final answer is 1.1366k. You could also use mega. So you take the 1136.6 divided by a million, which is the multiplier of the mega, to get 0.001136 meg. But in terms of which number looks better, the 1.1366k looks better, so I'll use that one. Go on to the next file and try the examples, then check your work with the solutions.